Welcome to the lesson on simple operations with numerical fractions on the graphing calculator. Let's start by plugging in a fraction 5/10. There are three ways to access the fraction. First, let's start by just typing the math button. Once you type the math button, then you're going to scroll across the labels at the top of the page, math, then NUM is for numerical, or number. So we're going to scroll to the right and get to that column, and then you're going to scroll all the way down. So use the arrow button down to scroll all the way through the list till we get to the bottom of the list. It'll take you a little while. I'm going to show you a shortcut way to get to that. Sometimes you go past it just like I did. So instead you can actually scroll up till you get to the button that we want to plug in. Numerator, denominator, actually it's D. So press enter to choose it. And once you do that, you get a place to plug in a fraction. I'm going to type in a 5 for the numerator. I can scroll to the right or I can scroll down. If I scroll to the right, it'll automatically take me to the denominator. I'm typing in the fraction 5/10, so then I'll type in 10. Then I want to scroll to the right to get out of the fraction mode. When I press enter, the calculator will simplify the fraction into lowest terms, and it will also write it as a fraction. If you'd like to change that fraction to a decimal, there is a way to do that on the calculator also. If you will press the math button, then notice that the second number, first number is to change an expression to a fraction form. The second one is to change an expression to a decimal form. So I'm going to scroll down to the arrow and then the decimal. To choose it, I press enter. And then notice that the screen says answer and then an arrow decimal. What that means is you want to change your answer in the form of a decimal. So press enter. That's how you say yes. And there's the decimal version of 1/2. If I want to change a decimal back to a fraction, press the math button. Then I'm going to just pick the button that is highlighted already, the math button, and then an arrow with fraction. So we're going to change a whatever expression into a fraction form. To choose it, you press enter. Notice again it says answer and then an arrow and then fraction. The way that you interpret that is you're choosing your previous answer. You want to change that previous answer into a fraction. Press enter. And it will change it back into a fraction that is always in its lowest terms. Okay, let's type in an integer, a fraction that's in an integer. I want to type in -9/15. As far as the calculator goes, you can type in the negative symbol and then choose the fraction button. So now, last time I showed you how to find the fraction button using the math button. Here's the shortcut. Press the green or the alpha key. And then you're going to be finding F1, which is the y = button. And notice you have these shortcut buttons. The very first thing is all the fraction buttons. Number 1 is just to put it in the form of a numerator and denominator. The second one is when you have a mixed number. The third one is if you want to change an improper fraction to a mixed number. And then finally the fourth one will do both, change a fraction to a decimal and or a decimal to a fraction. So we're going to use this button to input a fraction. We're just going to pick the very first one, so press enter. And then I'm going to type in, remember we're going to type in -9/15. So 9, and then I'm going to scroll down this time. Now last time I scrolled to the right, this time I scrolled down. Notice you do get the exact same effect getting to the denominator. Type in 15, 1/5. Then I'm going to scroll to the right to get out of the fraction. So a negative in front is exactly the same as if I typed in a -9 in the numerator divided by 15 or over 15. When I press enter, the answer is going to automatically be in a fraction that's in lowest terms. If your answer comes out to be a decimal, then you can simply go back and do what we did earlier and change the decimal to a fraction. What if you wanted to put in a mixed number? So I'm going to use the shortcut button again. So alpha or the green button and then the y =, which is alpha F1. Then I'm going to scroll down to the second button. So scroll down and then press enter. And notice it gives you 3 spaces, 1 space for a whole number and then 2 spaces for a numerator and a denominator. So I'm just going to input 2 and 3/6. So I'm going to put 2 as my whole number. The calculator will tell you, see the little arrow that's highlighted or that's blinking? You can press the right arrow key to get to the numerator. I'm going to type in 3. And then I can use the right arrow key or the down button to get to the denominator. Type in 6. And if I press enter, the calculator is going to give me an improper fraction. It is in lowest form, 5/2. That's the lowest simplified form for that fraction. Say I want to change that now to back to a mixed number. So I'm going to go to the alpha button or the green button, and I'm going to type in alpha F1 or alpha Y equals, same button. I'm going to go to the third choice, which is to change an improper fraction to a mixed number. Press enter to choose that choice. Look what it says. It says the answer, and it's always talking about, the calculator is always referring to the previous answer. So the previous answer, I want to change it from the form numerator over denominator, which is our form currently, to mixed number. Press enter, and there it is, 2 1/2. So what if you had a fraction that wouldn't simplify anymore? So let's just see the third way we can type in a fraction, which is just the division symbol, 1/3. So I can type in 1 and then divided by 3. The calculator still understands that that is a fraction, 1/3. When I press enter, it's going to give me a decimal. The decimal version of 1/3 is 0.3333, a repeating decimal, 0.3. I want to change that to fraction form. So I'm going to type in the shortcut button, alpha, and then F1. I'm going to pick that last choice, which is a fraction to a decimal. But in this case, I want to go a decimal to a fraction, but it's all in one button. That's what I like about this shortcut button. So I'm going to press number 4. I'm going to press enter. It's going to ask me, do I want to use my answer, changing it to a fraction and or a decimal? I press enter again to say yes, and there it is in fraction form. That concludes our lesson on simple operations with numerical fractions on the graphing calculator.